Oke teman-teman, aku izin record karena udah jam 12.05. Aku kembaliin ke Kak Melvin untuk bisa mulai ke tutor UTS-nya. Terima kasih.
Halo,
Ya, masuk.
oke. Um, so ini kita mendingan langsung bahas soal tahun lalu aja ya. Um, Give me a second. Oke, kita bahas soal tahun lalu aja lah ya. Ini di drive-nya ada CSB sama ya. Pak Agus sama Pak Janu. Ya ada yang Pak Agus dulu. Let me open Paint. Ini let's start with number one. Oke. Okay, what are the disadvantages of object-oriented programming compared to procedural or functional programming? Nah, gue izin buka ini slide yang kemarin. Jadi kan procedural main fokusnya on functions and procedures that operate on data. Big programs are divided into subprograms or functions. Some data and functions are treated as separate entities. Data is passive. Data is free to move around the system. Programming designed with a top-down approach. Tapi object-oriented programming programs are designed with a bottom-up approach. Jadi kita ambil aja. Jadi procedural itu eh where is the text tool? di mana or object oriented is instead a bottom up approach. Right? Let's put it here. Nah, buat advantages or disadvantages-nya, berarti procedural itu procedural is less organized, right? Procedural is apa? Less organized and difficult to implement real complex um real complex problems. Tapi procedural juga more it implements less parts, functions, it has less classes, so it takes up less memory and it also uh uses less basically uses less resources, right? Less hardware resources. Or object-oriented programming is more it's easier to implement to it's easier lebih gampang buat implementasiin buat problem yang kompleks kan, yang real. Karena setiap problem di breakdown jadi setiap kelas kan, is object oriented. Juga object oriented bisa di recycle or I forgot the word for it. It's modular, right? Jadi bisa dipakai um, dalam uh, program lain di mana apa? You don't have to reinvent the wheel gitu. I think that sums up for that question. Kalau ada pertanyaan, tanya aja. Um, okay, let's go to the second one. Ini dikasih double linked list. If you want to store the linked list data in ascending order, where should the new node be entered in this linked list? Visualize and explain the algorithm of this insertion process. Jadi ini linked list mau ditaruh in ascending order. Ini kan udah 23, 26, 28. Dia mau masukin 25. Berarti kan eh hmm, berarti this is just ini permintaannya kita insert aja. This is just an insertion question. So we wanna check um Jadi em, ini step one, right? Because here we have 23, 26, 28, 25. Jadi kan step one ini kita compare new node sama em, yang pertama di linked list. Kedua, kita compare sampai ya compare sampai kita ketemu yang lebih gede kan. Because we're trying to find, kita coba cari di mana untuk input new node-nya. Kemudian habis ketemu, kan kita mau inputnya di sini antara 23, 2 eh, sama 26. Kita harus link 25 dengan, bentar saya pindahin. Kita harus link 25 ke 26. Kemudian eh aku nggak mau move. Kemudian kita harus link 23 ke 25 dan delete itu kan apa? Delete link 23 ke 26. Jadi 23 next listnya kita ganti jadi 25. Eh, oke, 25 next listnya kita ganti jadi 26 dulu. Habis itu 23 kita ganti next listnya jadi 25. Kemudian baru 26, sebentar. Okay. Yeah, I think this correct. Uh and then we set ini kan apa? We set the previous node for 25 to be the head node, which is 23. And then we set the next node for 23, or oh no, the previous node for 26, which is supposed to be 25. So if we rearrange it, it should be it should end up like 23, 26, like 23, 25, 26, and 28, right? So if we put it in writing, we could put it as um step one being find uh the head node, and then we must find um we must get the node we want to place the new node in front of. So here kan kita ketemu 26 itu lebih gede dari 23. Jadi kita mau taruhnya di depan 23. Gitu. Maksudnya gitu. And then uh, assign next di 25, next in the new node with um node. Okay, we will assign after node 23. Jadi kan ini kita mau assign 25 di antara 23 sama 26. Jadi kita harus assign 25 dengan node yang setelah 23. Right? Habis itu 23 kita assign ke 25. Um, dengan node 25. Right? And nah sekarang kan 23, nextnya 25, nextnya 26. Habis itu kita betulin previousnya. uh, Habis 25 kita assign previousnya 23, terus assign 26 previousnya kita betulin jadi 25 biar jadi kayak finalnya gitu. Oke, itu buat kalau explain pros and cons ini teori mendingan lihat catatan sendiri sih. But let's just look it up. Explain pros and cons for linked list this implementation step. I think for B, this is adequate. Let's do. Ini prosnya. Prosnya kan dynamic data structure. So ini you can it can take up as much memory as it needs because every um, point in the list is takes up its own memory, right? And there's no wasted memory because unlike in an array, there's no like possibility of empty um, slots, right? No memory is like no memory is allocated to the linked list, which isn't being used to store something. And then insertion and deletion uh, should be quite easy because you see you can just insert something in the middle, or you can delete something in the anywhere in the list. So it should be quite simple, uh, and you don't have to shift. Like imagine in an array you want to put something in the middle, you would need to allocate memory, and then you need to shift every data in the array, and that operation could take um, depending on the size of array. If the array is extremely large, you could take up a large amount of operations to copy over and like shift the data one space or like two spaces to make room for a new data to insert. And then it's also flexible, right? Because again, you can uh it's not like a fixed thing. Each data is its own um object. Yeah. And then for the disadvantages, for the cons, it uses up a lot of memory per object, right? So each object is gonna have to store not only the data stored inside of it, it's also gonna need to store the address of the data after it, and the data, in the case of a double linked list, the data before it as well. And so that basically almost triples the size of each object. Um, and also traversal, since we don't have, since the address in the real memory of the linked list is not static, like in a normal array, uh, they would assign, they would already have assigned a specific size of, um, I think it would be easier if I drew it. So in a array, they would already have assigned like, oh, this portion of the memory should be assigned for the array. However, in a linked list, um, they may assign like, oh, object one and two are here, and object two and three, or three and four are here, and then these are only linked by the objects themselves having the address for the next object. So it is not, to traverse it, you would need to go through each object. Like if you wanted to find the fourth node, for example, in an array, you would just go to node four. But in a linked list, you need to go through them one by one. Like node one, node two, node three, node four to find. And then reverse traversing, that only applies for single linked lists, since you can have doubly linked list, but since single linked list is more takes up less memory, but it is difficult to traverse in reverse. Um, yeah. So let's move on to the next one. Um, I need to resize. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Oh, let's just use. And then okay, let's talk about AVL. I think I have the slides from last year as well. Let me upload them. Okay, so you need to find, you need to create a balanced AVL tree, right? So so we will input it one by one by one by one by one by one, right? So first node is 96. And then the second node is 22. So 96, 22 is less than 96. Jadi kita taruhnya di kirinya. Terus 21, ya, 21 itu kurang dari 22, jadi kita taruhnya di kiri 22. Tapi kan jadinya nggak balance. So we need to balance it. I'm drawing too big. Papernya kegedean. 21 kurang dari 22. Kemudian kita harus balance kan. Jadinya 22 itu tengah, 21 kiri, 96 kanan. Kemudian kita mau tambahin 15. 15 itu kurang dari 21. Jadi kita taruhnya di kiri 21. Terus kita tambahin 9. Eh, oke. Tambahin 9. Ini akan kita tambahin 9. Tapi jadinya kan nggak balance. So we need to balance it. eh dengan ini kan. Jadi 15 di tengah. 15 di tengah. 9 di kiri. Sama 21 jadi kanan. Kemudian itu nomor 7. Ini 8. Maaf kalau gue tulisannya berat. Hopefully masih bisa ngerti. Em, kemudian 87 ya tambahin eh ya 87 kita tambahinnya kiri 96 karena 87 kurang dari 96. Kemudian 45 saya tambahinnya di kiri 87. Cuman ini jadinya nggak balance lagi. Makanya kita harus em, balance. Jadi 87 96 jadi kanan, 87 jadi tengah, 45 jadi kiri. Kemudian kita tambahin 87 lagi. Eh, kayaknya kemarin salah soal deh. Seingat gue. Saya kan ada dua yang sama kalau nggak salah. Kita tambahin 59. Oke, kita tambahin 59, which is more than 45, is more than 22, less than 87, more than 45. Terus kita tambahin 20, which is less than 22, more than 15, and less than 21. Terus kita tambahin 5, which is less than 9. Kalau nggak salah ini masih balance kan? Iya, 12, 5. Kurang dari 22, kurang dari 15, kurang dari 9. Terus kita tambahin 52 yang lebih dari 22, kurang dari 87, kurang dari 59. Lebih dari 59. Eh, lebih dari 45, kurang dari 59. Hmm, Tapi ini jadinya nggak balance kan? Karena ini 2, ini kan 1. Jadi, em, oh, ini 45 yang nggak balance. Karena ini kan 2, ini nggak ada. Jadi, em, harus di, gue lupa apa namanya, di shift biar 45 jadi kiri, 59 jadi tengah, 52 jadi kanan. Jadi kan 59, 45, 52. Jadi AVL3-nya seharusnya kelihatannya kayak gini. Terus diminta itu kan, pre-order, in order, sama post order. Um, in order kalau nggak salah, in order yang mana ya? Post order. Oh ini, pre-order ABC, post order BC. Oh, jadi kan ini pre-order startnya dari parent, terus ke kiri kiri, kiri, baru kanan, right? Jadi kalau kita ambil ini, um, reordernya 22, terus 15, sayang ke kiri. Terus ambil kiri lagi, 9, terus ambil kiri lagi, 5, terus nggak ada kiri, dia ambil kanan, nggak ada kanan, jadi kita balik ke parent, ambil kanan, parentnya 15 kan, ambil kanan, jadinya 21, terus 21 ambil kiri, 20, kanannya nggak ada, kita balik ke parent, ini kita ambil 87, 87 kita ambil kirinya 59, kita ambil kirinya 45, terus kita ambil kanannya 52, terus kita ambil kanannya 5, eh 87, 96. Jadi pre-ordernya kan like this. Starts from the root, terus kita ambil kirinya sampai mentok, habis itu kita ambil kanan from the previous parent. Nah, next kita harus cari in order kan. Oh nggak mau nulis in in order. Di sini in order kan kiri dulu, baru root, baru kanan. Jadi kan ini kita ambil dari rootnya dua-dua, kita ambil kiri dulu. Ada kiri lagi, ada kiri lagi. Jadi kita ambil paling paling kiri. Habis itu kita ambil rootnya, baru kita ambil kanan. Jadi kita ambil rootnya, yaitu 9, baru kita ambil kanannya. Nggak ada. Jadi kita ambil rootnya 9, which is 15. Habis itu kita baru ambil kanannya, which is 21. Habis itu ambil kirinya. 20 dulu. Karena kita ambil, ya kita ambil kanan, terus itu ada node kirinya. Jadi kita ambil node kirinya dulu, baru kita ambil rootnya. Habis itu udah selesai, kita ambil rootnya 15, which is 22, baru kita ambil kanannya. Ini 87 ada kirinya, which is 59. 59 ada kirinya juga, 45. Jadi kita ambil 45 dulu, baru kita ambil 59, baru kita ambil 52. Kan ini udah kanan, jadi kita ambil rootnya 59, which is 87. Terus kita baru ambil kanannya, which is 96. Terus post order. Post order kan ambil semua anaknya dulu, ambil anak kiri, anak kanan, baru ambil rootnya. Jadi kita ambil dengan dua-dua. Kita ambil anak kiri, which is paling kiri 5. Habis itu, ini kanannya nggak ada. Jadi kita langsung ambil 9. Ini 9 kita balikin ke 15, yang kasih ke 21. 21 ada kirinya 20. 20 nggak ada kanannya. Jadi kita tulis 21. Terus kan ini kita balikin ke 15. Yang 15 juga balikin ke 22, kasih ke 87. 87 ada kirinya 59. 59 ada kirinya lagi 45. Jadi 45 em, nggak ada kirinya, nggak ada anaknya. Eh, kita kasih ke 59 yang ada anak-anaknya. Jadi kita ambil yang kanan dulu, baru rootnya sesuai ordernya. And then 59 we return it to the parent, which is 87, and 87 still has a child node to the right, which is 96, still has a leaf node. And since 96 nggak ada anaknya, kita balikin ke 87, terus ke 22. So that is post order. I'm gonna copy, I think this image is actually, yeah. Habis itu B-nya, create a min heap tree from above data along with the steps. Determine how many swapping processes are performed. Min heap tree. I think I also have the slides for this. Um, a heap is, oh yeah, heap itu trickle down. So this is a max heap tree where the max akan paling atas. Tapi ini mintanya min heap tree, di mana yang paling kecil itu di atas. So, let's do that. Min heap tree. So the first element is 96. Kemudian sembilan puluh enam kita mau masukin lagi apa 22. Kita masukin 22 in the next available slot. So how it works is you have a tree, right? And then like kita isinya dari paling kiri, paling bawah yang available dulu. So we filled in, kita isinya ini, baru ini. I hope that makes sense. Jadi kita isinya ini. Tapi karena ini min heap tree, dimana kita mau yang min paling atas, kita ini swap, harus swap. Jadinya 2296. Terus itu one swap. Terus kita input lagi apa ini 21. Ini kan 22, 96, ini 21. Ini kita harus swap lagi. Jadi 21 paling atas, 96, 22. Itu di bawah. Kemudian kita mau tambahin lagi 15. 15. Ini kan 15 paling kecil. Jadi kita harus swap. Swap, terus swap lagi. Dua swap. Kan 15 swap sama 15 swap sama 96. Terus 21 swap sama 15 lagi. Terus 9. 9 kita masukinnya di sini ya. Apa? Nah 9 kan ini lebih kecil. Jadi 9 kita mau swap ke sama 21. Terus kita swap sama 15. Di mana itu dua swap. Di 9, 15, 96, 21. Terus ini kita batasin 87. Kita input 87 di bawah, 15, 9. 87 kita inputnya di sini ya. 87. Tapi karena 87 udah gede, kita nggak bawa ke atas. Terus 45. Kita input 45. 45 udah lebih gede dari 22, jadi kita nggak harus swap lagi. Terus ini kita bawa ke atas deh. Dia mau input 59. Nah, 59 itu lebih kecil dari 96, tapi lebih gede dari 15. Jadi ini swapnya cuma sekali. Um, I'm running out of space. Eh, Oke, terus kita mau masukin 20-an. Jadi 9, 20 kita masukinnya sini. Hmm, ya, kita insert 20. Nah, 20 itu lebih kecil dari 59. Jadi kita swap 20 sama 59. Ini gua kecil. Um, ini kan di swap. Jadinya 20, 96, ini 59. Terus ini 5, kita insert 5 onto this one. Kita insertnya di sini. Iman lebih kecil dari 21, lebih kecil dari smaller than 21, smaller than 15, smaller than 9. Jadi kita swapnya ini 3 kali. Jadi 5 swap 21, swap 15, swap 9. 5, 9, 22, 7, ini 45. Ini 20, ini 15, 96, ini 5, 9, ini 21. Nah, habis itu kita mau input 52. Um, 52. 52 kan lebih dari 15. So we don't need to do any swaps. So, determine how many swapping kan um this is one swap. Ini one swap, two swaps, two swaps, no swap, no swap, one swap, one swap. Yeah, one swap, three swaps, no swaps. So 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 11. So 11 swaps. Ya, begitu. Ini bisa sih. Okay, and then let's look at the. Oh, ini ada ya. 10 spot. Ya bener. Kok 10 swap? Maybe I counted it wrong.
Permisi Kak Melvin.
Ya, yes.
Aku mau nanya deh, ini nanti kita dapat recording sama jawabannya apa kita harus screenshot dulu?
Um, Kayaknya recordingnya di-share ya. I think so.
Aku izin
I'll,
jawab ya, nanti recordingnya di-share.
Oke, terima kasih.
okay. Um, where was I? Yeah, I think I did my calculations. Kan inputnya 96, 22, 21, 15, 9, A7, um, um, I think this should be correct though. The one swap and then five is three swaps. Yeah, I don't understand how this could be done. So Let's just move on to number 5. We need to represent it using adjacency matrix. So an adjacency matrix, if I recall correctly, is just so this A, C, F, G, H. We would need, is there an insert table? Um, so A, no. What? Huh? Oh, that's crazy. Um, okay, so the adjacency matrix, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, right? And then this is either this 0. Okay, so since this is the graph doesn't have directions, it should be the same for both in from A to B and from B to A. Yeah. So A has two connections with C and F, right? Uh, 4, 7, 4, 7, and then C and okay, and then B has connections with E and H. I I think I have the I think I should have the PowerPoint for this, just in case. Um, yeah, basically you want to make it like this, right? But since this one has weights, we want to apply the numbers to it. So where was I? B, right? B has adjacency with E, um, with E and H. and H. So yeah, we fill that in. And then C has adjacency with A and adjacency with D, adjacency with G, and adjacency with F. D, right. And D has adjacency with C and E. Wait, let me insert a row above to the left. It's easier to see. And then I'm gonna highlight this blue. Right. Where was I? C is has OD is connected to C, to E, to G. And, and then E is connected to D and G and H and B. E is connected. What? F is connected to A, C, and G. And G is connected to F, C, and H. And yeah, so all of the connections, all of the vertices should be written here. And now we gotta fill in um yeah, so this is the first iteration. And then we wanna fill in um with the ini termasuk adjacency matrix. Let me look for reference. Oh, that's part of, is that part of? Oh, nggak termasuk deh. So basically, this would be, let me just resize it so it looks better. Um, how do I, how do I, um, oh, resize, can I resize all, resize, even more like 15. Okay, so this would be the adjacency matrix, right? And then we want to visit all vertices starting from vertex A. What is the order of visits using DFS and BFS strategies? So DFS is depth first search, right? So we would go from A, we would go with the lowest. I think, yeah, we would take the lowest weight and we would keep choosing the lowest weight. So for example, from A, we would choose C because 4 is less than 7. I think it is mentioned in the slide. Let's read it. Yeah, so depth first search, the idea is you gotta pick a starting point and follow a path to unvisited vertices until you hit a dead end, right? When you hit a dead end, go back and hit unvisited. Um, ah, so breadth first search, instead you want to try out every node first. So you would visit N, B, C, D, E, and then you would visit F, and then G, and then H, and then I. Oh, so we don't pay attention to the weight. I was thinking of something else. Sorry. So DFS, right? So from A, let me just. So DFS, we would start at A, right? And then let's take C, and then we'll take F, then F will take G, G will take H, H will take B, B will take E, E will take D, and then this is all the nodes visited, right? I'm sorry, we do search weights to figure out which one we do first. So for DFS, it would be, where's my text box? 16. Is it so small? 6, 8, A. Okay, so we'll go A, C, F, G, H, B, E, D, right? And then for BFS, we would let me just select it again. So for breadth first search, we would take all of them, right? So A, we would take C and F, right? So A, C, F. And then from C, we take most the cheapest option that hasn't been taken yet, which is D. So we take D, and then from F we take the option that hasn't been taken yet, which is G. So we take G. Then from D we take um E, since that's the only option, right? And then from G we take H, and then from E we have to take B, and that's all of the nodes visited. So it goes from A to C to F to D to G to E to H to B. And that's breadth first search. Um, and that should be all the material. I think okay. I think mirip semua ya. Oh, ini Q. Alright, I'll take this a bit because it's Q, terus yang tadi nggak ada yang bahas Q. Um, oke. Ini kan, oh ini disuruh nulis method ya. But basically the concept itu so you have a stack, right? Minta pakai stack. So I'm assuming they want each object to be a word. Kan inputnya saya makan ikan. Jadi saya masuk, makan masuk, terus ikan masuk. Nah, ini outputnya ikan makan saya. Jadi kan ini tinggal DQ, DQ, DQ. So basically, when given a string, you want to enqueue, 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 and DQ, DQ, DQ. Should be pretty. I need to write this in a more succinct way. Just give me a second. So the input is saya makan ikan. Now, since we're using stack, we want to enqueue, 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 and then this is the stack one enqueue, and then this one goes here, this one goes here. So saya would be at the bottom of the stack. Sayanya kan di bawah stacknya, di paling bawah stack. Makan di tengah stack, terus ikan di atas stack. Kan saya kan di enqueue, di enqueue, di enqueue. Terus buat
Sorry
outputnya
Melvin,
ya,
ini ada yang bilang push or pop karena ini stack kan, jadinya pakai push. Kalau NQ nanti di apa namanya? Kan
oh
pakai
iya,
stack jadinya
oh
ya
iya
pakai
ya.
push atau pop.
Tapi konsepnya sama. Sorry, salah terminologi. Jadi ini kan push, push, push. Iya, jadi kan push saya di paling bawah, makan di atasnya, ikan di atasnya. Terus outputnya itu di pull, terus di pull, di gimana nih gambarnya? Pull, terus ini di pull, terus ini di pull, kan? Pull, pull, pull. Jadi ikan makan saya. Iya, sorry, tapi ya wrong wording. Tapi basically gitu, start. Kalau Q itu eh bedanya gitu kan. eh di Q-nya ambil dari paling bawah. Ini yang B-nya, oh ya ini B-nya tentang Q. Ya. Diberikan metode olah yang menggunakan Q dengan array melingkar dengan max data 7. Q maksimum berisi 7 karakter. Tuliskan output. Emang 7 karakter? And Q. Oh, okay. So B is basically kita dikasih 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nah, terus ini kan diminta DQ, habis itu NQR. Soalnya ini Q, kita ambilnya dari depan. Ini kan kita di NQ semua. So, we have the Q. Kenapa ini fontnya beda? Oke, so ini kan diminta DQ. DQ berarti kita hilangin yang paling depan. Wah, terus kita diminta NQR. Terus kita diminta DQ, terus NQP, DQ, NQO. Oke, kan DQ, NQP, terus DQ lagi, NQO. And then DQ, oh, eh, itu. Tadi sini ya, NQR, DQ, NQO, terus DQ, NQR. You are, terus in Qt, in Q U. Ya, jadi ya gitu. Ini ada max Q-nya, max data 7. Kalau max datanya 7 berarti ini apa? Tadi ini berapa sih? Kan Q-nya masuk. Tuh. Oh ya, pop bukan pull. Sorry. Ya gitu. And then itu tadi nomor 5 nya sama, nomor 3 sama kayak English. Oh ini nomor 3-nya beda sih. Wah, sorry. Nah, ini kan linked list, dia mau remove n-nya. Jadi pertama kita mau um, kita harus save ini item n-nya, terus kita harus remove. Oke, jadi kita taruh misalnya buat we'll see. Kita ini assign jadi um, apa ya, variable apa kita assign ini. Habis itu kita uh, assign tailnya, tailnya jadi ini. Habis itu um, kita mau remove ini linknya ke yang to be removed, and then we have to remove the last one. Yeah, and that's basically the algorithm for it. And ini object oriented udah ngerti lah ya. So basically constructor itu ini like when you create a object, have it when you make an object itu bikin objeknya harus taken argument, terus argumentsnya jadi itunya apa value buat objeknya. And yeah, I think I've covered basically everything. Um, I'm gonna save this to save as PNG. Okay. Any questions? Atau mungkin I didn't cover something well, or maybe you anyone wanna revisit anything?
Hello, can I ask
Uh,
something?
uh-huh.
You know, in the questions where we're asked to make algorithms or methods, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to write code, right? Do we just explain the algorithm through pseudocode or what?
Um, Tergantung dosennya. Tapi kemarin gua sama Wahyono mendingan tulis aja code kalau nggak salah. But like, yeah, yeah, just write code.
Okay, thank you, Kamil.
The last year that's what I did, if I recall correctly. Tahun kemarin gitu. Any other questions?
I do have a question, Kak Melvin.
Yeah.
Does the code so we write it in pseudocode, or does it has to be in like a real Java code?
I mean, it doesn't have to be working, but like, it should, it's, hold on, I'm trying to remember. It's been like a year, but I think it is fine if it's like pseudocode. Yeah. But they do ask you to make like a method. So like, yeah,
All
like
right.
it's okay if it's like you'll have to remember uh like Java syntax and like, but yeah, they will ask you to make like, or like last year gua sama Pak Wahyono tahun kemarin itu di kalau nggak salah Pak Wahyono mintanya gitu, atau itu Pak Erwin ya. But just know like the general look of the algorithm. If you know the algorithm, it should be fine.
Okay, Kak Melvin. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Ada pertanyaan lagi? Oke, kalau aman, ya, thank you all for coming. Gua kasih balik ke Isan.
Oke, terima kasih Kak Melvin yang udah memaparkan materi terkait algoritma dan struktur data dan juga makasih buat teman-teman yang udah hadir di tutor tes OT pada hari ini. Nah, semoga bermanfaat buat rekamannya nanti kalau udah selesai diupload bakalan kasih di grup. Thank you semuanya, boleh leave.